I had a nice weekend with Vinny. Bubba's going to give you a representation how one thing can be like another. The cat and the engine, that pickup truck, they're all alike even though they're different objects, okay? Because without care, you get dirt on your forehead again, without care, gaskets blow, and living here in the Rust Belt, okay, with neglect, because we have pennies on the workbench growing fur that we got out of this truck. This is the crud, and this is the results of living in the Rust Belt and neglect. When you neglect a truck, this is what happens, okay? This is your snow on your boots building up, and it starts bubbling up the paint, and the next thing you know, you have a hole in your floor, and then you have a bill on your hands. And just like this guy, yeah, but I gave you money and nothing's done yet. Well, it takes more money, and one thing usually has to come before another. So when you buy parts for a truck like this, when you're doing for a customer, because I'm sure I'm not the first shop that's going to have to explain this to somebody, and this is a relative who's got a thick head. Okay, one thing's got to come before the other, and it's okay to buy the guy all the parts and fabricate the parts, and then there's other stuff we need. You got to pay for it. In other words, I'm not a rich shop, and there's a lot of other shops, they just don't go and hawk for their customers. I mean, people die, people get bored, they move, they go to jail, and I've had it. I've had thousands of dollars in a motorcycle and another truck and different things, okay? I just ask for people to pay for the parts. I can wait for some of the labor, but the cat and this engine and that truck and the other one and every other thing on this planet, including your home where you live, okay, is if you neglect stuff and you keep letting it go, the worse it gets. It doesn't get better. And then you have a problem, and then you have a real bill on your hands, okay? So this was a brand new engine I'm giving a representation. It had been a brand new engine that had failed, and then I had to regasket it and do everything to make it correct again, because it was brand new when it failed. There's no hours on this motor. It was actually like a factory reject, and the tractor's all like brand new and everything yet, and I've been trying to sell the motor, and I said, screw it, I'm just going to put the tractor and the motor back together, and I'll get rid of it that way, right? Because nobody wants to give me what I threw at the farm auction, so I'm not going to get my money. The tractor's basically worthless. Everybody wants them with an engine that runs, so it's very few people that'll buy a tractor just for the body or just for the tires. There are guys, but they want to pay nickels and dimes. So that is how one thing is like another. And Vinny and I went after that box of money. Speaking of money, I have to show you the penny that was growing fur. There was a couple of them here. It actually grew fur. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it out here in the sun. That son of a gun, holy cow. That's the DOT salt. A lot of it will do that. That wasn't necessarily something in the truck. That was probably the salt coming in on the boots, and it just welded itself to part of the carpet. So after having a nice weekend or whatever, you know, I kind of discuss things with Vinny, like my business practices, and everything is sound in his mind, and not just because he's not really a friend, he's just a recent acquaintance, but I really appreciated the guy's friendship, and he has a truthful, knowledgeable side to him, so I have a lot of compliments. We got to the hot spot where we were looking for the box of money, and it was all grown up. You couldn't even get in there. So we're going to have to take some saws, chainsaw, and probably a weed whacker or whatever if we're going to go after it. And we got to remember to take the bug spray along, because the bugs were trying to eat us and carry us off. And then we found a half-full bottle of whiskey, and we were going to flip because we didn't know whether it was pee or whiskey. So we were going to flip the coin. Getting back to the furry pennies, I should have had the furry penny. You know, heads I sip, tails you sip. You know. Anyway, it was a nice weekend, and how one thing can be like another, and how lack of maintenance can kill your truck. That is exactly it. That is that foam padding. And for any of you guys want to see what I use, I'm going to go up to the store, because I usually put a plastic liner then in over this. I'll take even a trash bag and I'll tape it in over the floor, because it will retain the moisture on top of the plastic that it'll dissipate, versus it ever reaching the floor. Why GM would put a sealer just around their bolt holes and not around where they need the sealer, it's bad. So I've got to cut and fabricate more pieces for Herman Munster. I've got to call them, and after I get it cleaned off and cleaned out and get welding, and tell them I got bad news, we need a couple $100 more. But hey, that's life, and that's making money, making a living, and that's what I do. I fabricate stuff. Unlike other people, they fabricate just stories. I don't bullshit people. I tell you exactly what it is. There it is. Okay? You want it, you got to pay for it, because I got money in it. Just like my pussycat, I wouldn't give him up for a world. Right, bub? Say hi. You're not talking this morning, you're mad at me? That's because you spilled your food and I yelled at him. He spilled his food and I yelled at him. Look at, they all got the same dirt. That's his mother. Or this is his mother. See, she got dirt on her eye. What is that, a dead spider? Good kitty. Just what I need in my shop, a dead spider. Clean your whiskers. God. They say pets are like their owners. That's how I come out of a truck. I'm wearing half the truck when I go in. I got to take a shower and a truck wash before I get in the house. Thanks, guys.